Hey there, welcome to another episode of Behind the Mask. I'm your host, Sarah Joy, your friendly neighborhood interrogator turned clone, helping you get to know who the person is behind the screen name. Tonight, we are chatting with Sam. You may know him from Starbirds. Sam, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a restaurant manager. Been doing that for about 14 years, and
Nice.
um, yeah, I mean, I've been in restaurants for pretty much my entire adult life. I like the
Mm.
fast-paced energy. I like the fact that I can kind of be thinking about playing games, in the back of my mind while I'm doing the repetitive tasks and everything. But I really like just, being able to connect with people and people come up, folks come up and they're like, "Oh, this is great. I love the food." And so that's what I do for work. I'm married.
Mhm.
Uh my wife Steph and we've been together for 13 years now. We did meet at the restaurant where I still work. Uh yeah, right.
I was gonna
And
ask, I was gonna ask.
yeah, because it's 14 years, 13 years. Yeah. So
Hmm.
we knew each other. We were friends for about a year. And then we started hanging out and we went to some theme parks in Orlando and hit it off. And yeah, all these years. It took us about 10 years to really get married, but we weren't really in too much of a rush. You know, we're like,
Yeah.
we're together. So it's, the time was right for it. We did get married in 2019. Thankfully, like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah, skin of the teeth on that one.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's and of course I'm great friends with the cast of Starbirds and some other folks that have played games with me for many
Hmm.
years. We They went by the name the Sweet Boys at one point, but I
Oh,
think
I love
now,
that.
yeah, I think I was at work and there's a manager there who's like, you and those Sweet Boys hanging out tonight, and it just stuck. Uh, and and of course Katie's a part of it too, so the name has kind of faded out of use. But
Hmm.
anyway, there's no need for monikers per se. But anyway,
Well,
yeah, it's
it's fun
yeah,
to have a group name.
yeah, it
It's
is.
like a
Yeah.
band name or like a party name, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Um,
my God, I love that.
yeah, so yeah, Starbirds and Sweet Boys is SB. So
Hmm.
that's the yeah, and I also say it's Stefania's Boo is another anyway, but that's besides the point.
Oh,
Um
no, no, no. You brought it up now. So I'm assuming, was your wife's name Stephanie? Do I remember that?
Stefania actually. Yeah.
Stefania. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, Stefania's boo. Okay. Very
Yeah.
cute. Very cute.
Uh but yeah, I don't know what else I was talking about. Yeah, so that's pretty much me. I've lived in Florida my whole life,
Hmm.
where and it is humid like 9 months out of the year, but
Yeah.
we do get plenty of rain, so we have to kind of, and it's I can handle that, so uh,
Good.
it is what it is. But only faced a couple hurricanes here in Northeast Florida, but yeah,
Okay. So you're up in the Northeast then, and
yeah,
Northeast. Are you near Jacksonville then?
I'm like live like in almost downtown Jacksonville, so yeah,
Oh, so
yeah,
I'm at Dragon Con right now, which is
hmm
in Atlanta, Georgia, and the
yeah,
folks that actually got me to start going to Dragon Con, who I room with, who one
hmm
of them's out on the balcony right now.
hmm
They live in Jacksonville, and
oh,
they're a
okay.
big part of the Jacksonville nerd scene, and it's awesome. I ended up flying down one year and attending the GAM. There, it's like,
Oh, yeah. The
yeah,
GAAM, I
AM.
think.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've seen that before. There's a couple of cons that are here that are like Ancient City Cons, pretty good.
Yeah.
Collective
Yeah.
Con is pretty
Yes.
solid. Yeah.
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 It's pretty awesome out there. You
Yeah.
have a really great nerd community there too, which is
There
cool.
is. There's not really much to do, if you're a sports fan, it's, half the year there's the Jags, which I love
Hmm.
the Jags. But the rest of the time, it's really just the beach or the heat and, congregating inside, when there's not a pandemic going on is nice. You escape from the heat in many ways. So it's
Right. Yeah. And that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm super curious like what brought such a large nerd, not that you would know this, and this is a rhetorical question. You do not have
right,
to
of
answer
course.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
But like what brought like the nerd population that's there because it's so big and so thriving. But you make an interesting point about like the heat too and having to congregate inside.
Yeah, it's you can do things outside, for most of the year, but you really just have to be able to, uh, you know, drink a ton of water. You got to be able to.
Yes.
You got to camel up, camelbacks and all, and
Mhm.
so it's fine. It's a good place to live. I lived here all my life. I don't really want to
Mhm.
move anywhere else. It's a great like starting point for, going up the East Coast, or you can go to New Orleans, you can go to Miami. So it's not so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. How like I would think you have to go through all of Alabama to get to New Orleans, but like I guess it wouldn't be too terribly far for you all, like 8 hours.
Yeah, it's exactly 8 hours, like eight
Okay.
hours
I like
and 1 minute or
geography.
something. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I'm
yeah.
I'm like really spot on
It's
that.
precisely 8 hours. Yeah, I've done it a couple times recently, with
Awesome.
Zach and Lucas and Aaron. It's a close
Hmm.
group of friends, and um, haven't really gone on as many trips with Katie. Usually we do
Hmm.
stuff around town. Katie and Zach are brother and sister. They're on Starbirds.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I kind of met Katie through Zach, and Ian was Katie actually was the I am babbling again.
No,
Katie and
you're good. You're
yeah,
good. I've got some
yeah,
threads that I'm going to pull on this very shortly.
yeah. So Katie and Ian, uh, Katie was essentially Ian's babysitter when she was, I think, 12, 13, something like that.
Hmm.
And he was a youngin. So they've known each other, basically all of his life. And so it was just kind of, we already had this thing going on Tuesday nights where we got together, we had a little whiskey, or
Hmm. Hmm.
a little brown water, however you want to say it, and enjoyed playing board games and doing Dungeons and Dragons and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, that probably leads into how I got started GMing, because
Yes, it does. It actually leads into how did you get started gaming?
it was literally just friends from work, and they invited
Hmm.
me over
Hmm.
to to a friend Josh's house. Well, his brother Aaron um, finished culinary school and joined us, I'd say like a year later, and then we had sort of a core five, and
Hmm.
then I think Katie was doing something else, but then uh, she and some friends came over and visited, and like we were all playing, all kinds of board games, really just nerdy stuff.
Well,
Anything we could do. Yeah,
you're
yeah,
in good
the good
company here.
stuff,
We were
the
all were
good stuff.
doing really just nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was, yeah, that was, so I saw Lucas. So it's, Lucas, Aaron, Zach, Katie, and Josh, and we'd meet every single Tuesday night, because if you're working a restaurant, you can't hang out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Right.
because you're working on those days, and
Hmm.
it's that those are the times where you're needed the most. So we
Hmm.
could pin down a Tuesday night, and yeah, so we were hanging out for a while, and then Lucas started doing D&D as a DM, and I was just like, "You can just role play and like you roll dice," and I'm like, "Why did I not know this was this?"
Uh-huh.
Because you have a different idea of it until you step in and do it once, and then you're like, "Oh, this is a blast."
Right,
So
right.
I was like, immediately, I was like, "I need a pen, I need paper," and I just start writing, and I wrote out like this whole world, and drew a map, and it was the realm of Nevercore, or whatever. But it was just
Uh-huh,
a
uh-huh,
starting
uh-huh.
starting point. So and we're doing 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons,
Okay, yeah.
which is thick.
Yeah, I
There's
was
a
gonna say a little
lot of
more
math,
crunchy. A
very
little more
crunchy.
crunchy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And but nonetheless, you can tell your story, and you don't have to. They all knew the math, so I could just be like, in this situation, they're like, yeah, do it like that. Okay, all right. And then I'd go in doing traps and puzzles and trying to tell a
Oh, I
story,
like that.
a long form story, and then
Mhm.
also different different places where you're meeting different characters. Just
Mhm.
pretty freeform, and I just fell in love with that. And then I came across the FFG, Edge of the Empire Player's Handbook, and I was like,
Yeah.
Star Wars, just uh, so excited. And
Not that you're a Star Wars fan or
I'm
anything,
a
because
huge Star Wars fan.
really, I
I,
see
I
Chewie and
yeah,
Han.
I painted this gosh, like 7 years ago. It's
Oh, I
good that
love
it's from
it.
a distance because if you got up close, you'd be like something. But anyway, it's fun. It was a lot of fun. It was more cathartic than anything.
Mhm.
Um, I used like another artist's like general layout for how Han is standing, how Chewie's standing. I think it's on Tatooine, and then I just
Mhm.
did like bright colors and did like craft, sort of like craft paint, acrylic
Yeah.
paint. So,
Yes,
uh,
I know it well.
not being much of an artist, but just sort of like you can kind of draw it out, trace it out, and figure out where
Mhm.
things should go and make it look okay-ish. And anyway, but yeah, I love Star Wars.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, once I found the
So yeah.
FFG book,
Mhm.
I started blabbering nonstop. No, I was like, let's play this game. And let's do this thing. And they're like, okay, great. Like we got a ship. What are we gonna call it? And we went for months and months. We couldn't figure out the name of the ship. And
Uh-huh.
one day it dawned on me. I'm like, the Pewter Griffin. The Pewter Griffin. And it just
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, now I know that we're trying to make this comedy. And then we started like, then we were trying to sort of one up each other with jokes uh
Mhm.
and eventually, so we stopped that for a while. We went to bring it back, and I think it was right before Force Awakens came out. I was like, okay,
Uh-huh.
we gotta do this again. Maybe it was Last Jedi. No, it was The Mandalorian. It was Mandalorian season 1. I was so
Gotcha.
excited. I was like, we got to get back into Star Wars FFG. So
Mhm.
I started laying it out, and at that point, we had the name Starbirds. And let's see. So yeah, we had the name Starbirds, and started listening to Heroes of the Hydian Way and Force
Mhm.
Majeure and Coruscant Nights, and I had a
Mhm.
long commute to work, so I listened to an entire season in like 2 weeks, and I just poured through all of it, and I was so thrilled with it because I could sort of reacquaint myself with the mechanics of the game without having to read the tome again.
Mhm.
And so I really barely familiarized myself with it, but and then I was like, this would be great. I started messaging Adam, and I'm like, Adam, what sort of equipment do you use? He's like, well, and he gave me all the the equipment, the microphones and
Mhm.
the H6. Like, go and get this stuff if you can get a hold of it. And I was off to the races, and it's been so much fun. It's a headache sometimes, but yeah. Anyway, that's my entire nerd journey in a weirdly shaped nutshell. With
Perfect. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want. I think that's exactly what all the listeners want, right? Because like the goal of the show is to really get to know each other and to find those similarities along our different nerd journeys. To get here, to get in the channel, to have found, Coruscant Nights and the podcast and all of the different amazing Star Wars podcasts that
yeah,
are actual place are like podcasts that are now out there. So that's awesome. So like and in there we started hearing about how Starbirds came about. You were like, heck, why not? All these other people are doing it. We'll do
yeah.
it.
Well,
Hmm.
well I oh yes, that's right. I'm of the worst kind of rabbit trailer. So we sit down and I
No,
start
I
writing in.
love the rabbit trails because I just get to sit here and I'm like, keep going, keep going. I'll send you on another one, and I'll send you down another one. I am going to grab my water real quick. But
Yeah,
yes, keep going.
yeah. Sorry, I need to do the same thing. I take a little sip and relax
All
for a
right,
second.
let's both take a little sip of water. Everyone else, go ahead and hydrate with us. It's very
Yes,
important.
please. Let's hydrate,
Hydration.
hydrate and
Hmm.
stretch. All right.
Oh my
Well,
God, yeah.
so we go to get started again, and I was like, okay, I've got this, I've got this idea for you being sort of on the run from the beginning. I started this whole campaign, I ended up playing through sort of the start of that with Greasy Panda Gaming uh,
Yeah.
when I was GMing for them, and I've put those episodes into sort of the the intermission space between season one and season two, and
Nice.
they know how to play the game, which helps so much.
Hmm.
Is that is I'm like, let's just stay in character for 2.5 hours and like never roll,
Yep.
But so anyway, backtracking, we're doing this is all offline, and
Mhm.
I've got 6 people and me GMing, and I got a projector and I started like projecting up like photos I'd find online that looked like the setting I was trying to describe or the area I was
Nice.
trying to go. And then I even did little videos where it looked like you're inside the Millennium Falcon.
Hmm.
And so we're sitting, I got everybody characters, little miniature figurines, like,
Yep.
like little D&D figurines, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're all Star Wars. And so we'd go and I'm like, okay, let's do a scene with the two of you. Greer Wharf is he's having trouble in the the refresher because everything's broken and it's awful in here. So you
Hmm.
go in there and do a scene, and they'd put their figures up, and the light from the projector would put them all up there, and you could tell who was in a scene. It was hilarious, and
Oh my God, I love that
yeah,
so
just
much.
just goofy stuff. And the way we interacted for that was so I wish that we had some kind of rough recording of it, but it was so much fun. Everybody
Mhm.
was engaged, and everyone was telling the story, and yeah, it was just exciting. It was really exciting, and I was like, I want to keep going, but I've got to pare it down a little bit because there's no way to have 6 people on a podcast. It's just you're going to have voices coming from all over, and
Oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah, we're not terribly disciplined as is. There is some over talk, but some of that it sounds good in banter, but
Hmm.
not so good when you're like sort of outside of character.
Hmm.
So like trying to manage 6 people, it would have been a lot. So I do plan on bringing in some of those folks, hopefully in and doing some other adventures because they are great role players. They've done it for so long, and
Hmm.
so we'll see how that goes.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
that was kind of
awesome.
that was kind of the spark was,
Hmm.
Katie, Zach, Aaron, Lucas, and my buddy Carlos and Ian, and that
Hmm.
was the yeah, and it really only lasted for about 6 or 7 playthroughs
Uh-huh.
before we wound up like somebody was missing one week. We're like, oh, we'll put it off one week, and then with that
Right.
many people with different schedules, it was really hard to balance. So paring it down helped us uh, kind of move it forward, and it's been a blast. So anyway,
Oh, awesome. Yeah, and I feel like scheduling is the real death of
yeah,
like most
it's hard.
characters.
It's really hard.
So very few characters are killed in game, many characters are killed out of game because of
Right.
scheduling. But yeah, no, and it makes sense too, like with the podcast, with having all those cross voices. Like I've recorded before, and like you generally have a mic that you're trying to speak into, but like if you're sharing a mic with someone and you're both talking over each other, there's no real way to kind of isolate those. And
Hmm.
from an editing standpoint and a listening standpoint, it's difficult. So like what are some other things like that? Usually I don't go into podcasts, but you were so kind of intentional setting this up. I think it's kind of fun and important to talk about, like, what were some other considerations when you were starting to set up this podcast that you were like, ooh, I need to think about this.
Well, and I'm still quite bad at this 2.5 years later, but
Okay,
the
okay.
the sort of like public presence, you kind of have to promote
Mm,
yourself, which is hard to do because you kind of feel it kind of feels shameless, like, hey, come check us out, we're really great, you're gonna love it. And it's like,
right.
in real life I'm not yelling at people like, hey, I'm over here, I got great stuff, I'm not.
Right.
Khajiit has
Come here and look at my coat. It's so cool.
it's so
Right.
shiny.
Yeah.
uh Khajiit has wares, like, no one's so it's like I'm really bad at the that sort of public face where you're sort of, you have to. uh, create a brand almost with
Right.
podcasting. That's often been the hardest thing for me, and that's a scheduling issue as well, where you're like, where am I gonna, like sit down and like write something out? Like, uh, is this postable? Is this, I don't know. Does this sound weird? Am I weird? I don't, I don't know,
I mean, Sam, in all
So
fairness, yes, you are, but so are we. So,
good, good.
yes,
Um,
we like your brand of weird.
good, good. Yeah. So that was one thing. Sitting around the table with them every time we sit down to record, it's like
Mhm.
now, you know, after 60 some odd recording, 50 something recording sessions, uh, maybe less, maybe something like 45. But anyway, after sitting down, it's
It
like you,
feels like
it
60.
feels like a lot.
Yeah.
uh, it's like you slip right back in, and it's a kind of a great feeling because you develop the how we should go around the table, and they're so lively.
Mhm.
My
Mhm.
bunch is so lively. They can't control themselves with the banter, and it's just I I'm most of the time I'm muffling my laughter so it doesn't pour over everything. Other times, other times it messes up a perfectly good uh phrase or audio track because I'm just Katie kills me too. Going back and editing, I'll
Uh-huh.
realize she says these little things, and because it's not like right up in your face, you're not like, "Oh, this is joke." But when I'm editing, I'm like dying laughing. I'm like, "Katie, how did we we didn't laugh in game at it because we're all thinking about everything."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Man, should I put a laugh track in here because this deserves a full-blown laughter." I have at least 4 instances of her saying something just brilliant, and uh there's nothing, there's just nothing there to put in, there's no
Right, but
laughter to
you're
accentuate.
giving us the space to laugh at it. Like
Right,
that's
yeah.
what it is. We're not being told to laugh at it. We can then in the car or like I listen to a lot of podcasts in the car. We can like in the car in our home wherever we're listening to these podcasts just like bust out laughing.
Yeah,
I love it.
she's really probably 90-95% of the heart of the show, because
Oh.
you never know what Katie's gonna say, and it's like
Mhm.
it's fantastic. Plus, it's just the rest of us guys, and we're all like, "Oh, I'm gonna be tough," or "I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna be intelligent today," and when I solve a puzzle, and Katie's just like, "I don't know," and she's great. But anyway, um,
Oh, that's
yeah. So
fantastic.
it's the friendships that's the
Yeah.
best part of the podcast, is getting
Mhm.
together and seeing what we ad lib so much too. It's
Mhm.
just uh it's, we don't really plan anything out. So sometimes they'll just start like, "Oh, our characters are going over here," and then I'm like, "Okay, I got to make up a shopkeeper, or I got to." Uh,
Right, right.
what does a pancake chef sound like? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out together. Uh,
Apparently, there's a pancake house on this
right,
little backwater. They're very
right.
famous.
They're
Yeah.
very famous. Yeah. And that's kind of like the core of our thing, is like comedy. Yeah, comedy, and I try to put a little horror or suspense in.
Okay.
Um,
How's that go with your players?
It doesn't go. It doesn't. I try, and they make the funnies. They make some very funny. They make some very funny. They'll. uh, literally there's a point in time where their captain is missing. This is,
Mhm.
excuse me, like episode 18. The captain's missing, and they're giving each other piggyback rides because that just needs to happen. So like, yeah, I'm gonna be, you're gonna be my search buddy. All right, you got to get on my back, and like, and then they come across this hallway, and it's like, things don't look good. So anyway, and they're like, uh, Zach made the comment. It's like in Mulan where they come across the village and then they don't sing songs anymore. And it's great. Yeah, that's kind of,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But they still make goofs. You can't really control it. But anyway, I've
Oh
I've
my God,
blabbered
that's
on enough.
awesome. No, no,
It's
you are here to blabber on, Sam. We are here to hear
okay.
everything you
All right.
have to say, and it right now. You're throwing me gold. So keep
Okay.
throwing
Good.
me gold, my
Okay.
friend.
Okay.
Like, I love it. I love it. So you had said that you were a big Star Wars fan. I'm very curious, like, what got you into that fandom? Like, especially because you're, I'm not gonna guess your age, but I would put you like
That
that
was a
was
40. Am I doing it
okay.
backwards or yeah. Yeah,
It's
40.
backwards to me, but it's fine.
Right.
No, no, no. My friend, I was just looking at the calculator here, calculator. The this is con life, man.
Yeah, right.
Just wipes you out.
Scrambles
Um,
everything. Yeah.
it really does. I'm 18 days away from that. So you and I are very close in age here. So
Yeah.
like we grew up when like the first three movies were done and there
Mhm.
wasn't like nothing else was on the horizon.
Mhm.
So like we were introduced to this. I'm gonna guess it was either like via TV or VHS.
Mhm. Yep,
Tell me about
VHS.
that. Yeah.
So, I on my street, how do I frame this? On my street, my mother grew up on the same block,
Oh,
just
nice. I love
actually
that.
just a few blocks away.
Uh-huh.
Uh, she grew up on the same block as my friend growing up. Um, his mom. I'm sorry, his
Hmm.
grandmother and his mom. She was raised there,
Hmm.
and my mom was raised on the other end of the block. And so they grew up as kind of friendly. Maybe they weren't like friends, but they knew each other. They spent a lot of time,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
neighborhood.
Right.
Uh, so we moved back down to Jacksonville, and my grandparents found us a house right at the other end of the block. So I got to
Hmm.
spend a lot of time with my grandparents, which is great. And
That's
then
awesome.
his mom and dad and brothers, they lived 2 doors down from me on the
Hmm.
one side of the street, grandparents on the other side of the street. So, Joey and, his 2 brothers, we played all the time, and it was,
Hmm.
GI Joes, and it was like we're running around in the backyard and, like, pretending to be all these things, and that's probably a
Yep.
lot of the core of it. And he showed me Star Wars, and I had seen little snippets, I think, on TV before,
Hmm.
but we sat down and we watched Star Wars, and I was like, and I'm 12, 12, maybe 12, 13, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, this is fantastic. He's like, dude, there's books. There's this guy, Timothy Zahn. And Joey is an avid reader. He's a complete
Uh-huh.
goofball, but avid reader. So he's like, I got this book. He's just giving me books. And I'm going to the library and I'm checking out everything that's Star Wars. And I just read Timothy Zahn. I read most of the Rogue Squadron series. I read what other ones? Oh yeah, like some of like Jabba's palace stories. And anyway,
Hmm.
a lot of what is now known as Legends, and loved it. Loved the imagination, and the galaxy was so big. It made it so much bigger in my mind
Hmm.
than just the Skywalkers, which is the story that Lucas is telling, really. And so
Right.
I was like, there's these cool places with these gangsters, and it's underground and everything. I started playing Star Wars games, Dark Forces
Hmm.
and Jedi Knight, and anyway, on and on. And anything that was Star Wars, I'd pick up and play until it was just, it would no longer function. So that really just captivated my imagination. I liked the fact that everything looked lived in, that sort of
Hmm.
experience, and I
Right.
was
It wasn't the TNG kind of like squeaky
no,
clean, like everyone's uniform is pressed. Like people were dirty.
right. Yeah, they looked
Yeah.
like they were just by looking at them, you could see some of their story. And
Hmm.
I think,
Oh, I like how you say that.
I like Star Trek, but you really have to watch and listen. And as the characters grow and you get deeper into them, you find out more about Data and Worf and all that. But
Hmm.
you can't just glance at them and see the history of what they've been through, like a thread around their jacket that makes you think, like, where did they get that? What happened
Hmm.
there that, like, is that some mark of accomplishment, or what's the story?
Hmm.
So, and I just loved the ships. I thought the ships were interesting. They weren't, and that's been said a lot. That's how sleek spaceships were before Lucas took over, and it
Uh-huh.
just the whole thing, everything about it was just so captivating. And the first movie I ever saw in theaters was Phantom Menace. Uh,
Oh, yes. I'm
1999.
excited and sorry for you.
It's okay. I mean, looking back, I think I enjoyed the movie, and then I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I didn't like that character that much, or I'm like, those droids were kind of goofy. But now that I
Hmm.
go back and watch it, I watch it in a different way, and I think at one point in time I was really sort of like, "Ugh," but I've gone past that where I was like, you know what, the prequels do have some really good moments and some good story that they're telling. And there's some things that I don't think are perfect about it, but I still can get the great stuff that's in there. And
Right.
yeah, and I can still
Right.
let it be the story without yeah, I used to yeah,
Yeah.
everybody has an opinion about Jar Jar, but now I just think it was, you know, it could have been done a little bit differently, but the character's
Well,
important. The character's important, so
right. And it's still like I think we forget that it's Lucas's story. And like at the time, let me tell you, I loved all three of well, no. I saw the first one in theaters. I saw the second half of the second one on DVD, and I've never actually watched the third one.
Revenge of the Sith?
I
Or
know. I've never watched Revenge of the Sith.
oh my goodness. That one's
Yeah.
actually it's got some really great fight scenes. It's pretty
Uh-huh.
intense at the end,
Oh, nice. Okay.
but it's the end of like that trilogy, so it's got to have a
Right.
big climactic
Right.
thing,
But
and of
like
course you
it
know what happens eventually. So
right, yeah. And we all knew going in what was gonna happen, but like
right,
it got an entire generation back into Star Wars in a way that we didn't realize. So
yeah,
like, it was really good for that. And I liked it then too.
yeah,
I don't know. I'll have to reevaluate why it is that I'm annoyed by it, other than the fact that like Natalie Portman is in her 20s and that kid looks like he's 8, but whatever.
yeah, right. Yeah,
That kind
there's
of thing.
sure. I definitely
So
can agree with that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But it again, like all Star Wars is good and it is George Lucas's story. It's his world and we're living and playing in it and we've got to be like grateful and happy that that's what he gave us.
yeah, for
So,
sure. Yeah. And
sweet.
yeah,
Hmm.
there's so many planets that I can't wait to see. Like Nar Shaddaa, like a live action Nar Shaddaa. I just
Hmm.
one day it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be
Right.
glorious.
Right.
Uh,
I want
yeah,
the space bunny cat people.
right.
Like,
Oh,
let's keep going. Let's get them in.
right. Yeah,
I
or
love it.
the Leppy, I think is the bunny people. I think that's the right name. Maybe I got that wrong, but yeah, just love.
I mix up the Genesis system and the Star Wars bunny people.
Mhm.
So Kenora is the name that I remember, and I don't think that's right. So
Yeah,
probably the chat is like, "What are you saying? It's this Leppy." Zach says, "Yep,
Leppy.
it's Leppy."
Okay, cool.
So, oh, I also love. Sammy said that when they were 9, she saw the Phantom Menace and was so and
Was terrorizing
terrorized
her parents.
terrorized their parents with a Jar Jar voice for years.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
I never really try. Everybody tried it afterwards because it's like, you can't help it. It's a unique voice, and it's like, even that sparks imagination where you're just like, it's what weird thing can you say using the Jar Jar voice? But
Right.
we try to avoid it now. I think there's a couple times where I'm like, oh yeah, it's a Gungan. It's like, no, we're not doing Gungan. We're not doing Gungan. Like, you know, um,
I appreciate how like the cartoons have come back and been like, not everybody speaks like that. let's
right,
let's
exactly.
change this a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh
that's
well.
not a bad adjustment. So.
Right. No one's mad at that. Let's actually turn to the chat for questions. I think I've asked you 2 questions, which is
And
awesome. It makes
I've just babbled
my
on
life. I know.
for
I
40
love
minutes.
that though.
Sorry.
If you ever get a chance to go back and watch Joe's episode, I think I asked him like one question and just let him go. So,
Yeah, I was just
that's
getting off work and
my
I'm
favorite.
still like adrenaline, and
Yes,
sweating
good.
like crazy. So,
Good.
yeah,
I love it. Uh, I am thinking Kushaban. That's Drunkle Grog just came and corrected me in the chat.
gotcha. Okay.
Kushaban is what I'm thinking. All right, so there's actually a question that I have too. Let's thank Dwayne for this. What made you decide to include parody music on your show? And what is the next song that's going to get Starbirds treatment? So it's twofold. First, what made you decide to include that on your show?
Uh, it's literally it, much like the rest of our shenanigans. I can't turn off parodying anything. So I'll just I'm having a good time with friends. We've had a couple drinks. There'll be like a song that comes on and I'll change the lyrics and like try to write it as I go and make it funny, which is really hard to do. But if you do it enough,
Right, right.
you get sort of okay at it. So there
Mhm.
was times I was sitting around, I'm like, "Where the Starbirds?" I'm like, oh yeah, that's funny. And so then I wrote the lines out. I did like one take, and I was like, eh. I was like, let me double up the chorus and change the pitch. So I re-recorded the chorus twice, slightly off, and then changed the pitch, and that was it. Yeah, so it
Oh my
was
God, I
really
love
really
that.
easy. I tried doing REM. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Poor choice. You really because I was doing what was it? Uh, Goodness gracious. It's the end of the world as we know it, and it's like it's the
Yes.
end of the huts as we know it. That was bad. I corrected that and went back. But Katie did a wonderful Rocket Kid, and I had written the lyrics out for
Oh,
that. I'd
fun.
recorded it with my
Mm,
voice because I wanted her to go, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And she goes, "Okay." And then there was one part in episode 9 she wanted to go back and re-record because she felt like she
mhm,
could say it better. She could
mhm,
describe because she'd been holding on to this secret and she wanted to change the character a little bit. And I was like, by all means, whatever you're feeling. So we went back and we did a little re-record, and I was like, well, I've got you here. Here's Rocket Kid. Anyway, here's Rocket
yeah,
Kid.
sing
So
this.
sing this, will you? And I'm coaching her, and I'm like, you got to go up higher. You got to sound louder. And I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I went back home and listened, and I was like, oh no, she was right. No, her instincts her instincts were correct in every point, and all I had to do was just she did a better chorus in one part and better verse in another, and I just switched those, and I love it so much. I cannot for some reason sit down and write a new parody song. Uh, I don't know
Oh,
why.
wow. So that
I,
was like the parody song to end all parody songs.
yeah, I did write "Behind Tad's Eyes," which is by the Who. "Behind Blue
Nice.
Eyes,"
Yeah.
which I think is called something else entirely. Anyway,
No, I think
I
it is Behind Blue Eyes because
yeah,
I listened to a lot
yeah.
of classic rock growing up.
Yeah. And so I was like behind Tad's eyes, he
Mhm.
has trouble because he's a sad man. He's a dad man, like he's got to take care of everybody else and do all the thinking and one's the brawn and one's the heart and he's the brains and so it's anyway. So I did a whole thing and the whole song with the chorus and everything and I was trying to get Zach to record it, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do it.
Uh-huh.
I've tried, but
Protein, not sugar.
Oh no, we gave. Hold on.
oh,
There we
you're good.
go. All right. We got it. We got it. For
Close enough.
somehow one of the clones has full permissions on this channel. I just revoke
Oh,
them.
Close enough.
oh no.
So everyone out there in podcast land and
Almonds
in YouTube
and
land,
some
ignore that.
good carbs like oats.
Or they'll edit it out later. How about that?
Yeah,
They won't.
no
They
worries.
won't. This is live. This stays live.
It's
That's
totally
how this
live.
works.
Uh,
Yeah,
Oh,
we've really been doing like 15 retakes of this. You all don't know. You all don't know. No, I love that. So like the question is maybe behind, which answers the second part
Yeah,
of the
that's
question, right?
important.
What
yeah.
song is next? So
Your
maybe
snacks need to be
behind Tad's
real,
eyes,
not
maybe
crap.
not. Maybe there will be something that organically arises kind
Mhm.
of as you keep going, which I
Yeah.
find like to be
It.
better.
Yeah. That's kind of my method. I'm like, once I
Mhm.
get inspired, I'll try something. I was thinking about doing a big all-encompassing I've been working on a lot in my brain, like, slowly
Mhm.
over the years, or yeah. One I wanted to do was David Bowie's "Heroes," and the
Uh-huh.
chorus is like, "Just like the heroes of the Hadean way," and it's like they're like, "Force majeure," and
Nice.
I like, sing about all the different stories and, like, maybe put the characters in,
Oh.
and it's like the David Bowie, "I do," that was, like,
Uh-huh.
thought, and I wanted it to be like bigger and sort of like just like these folks that I've listened to that I was inspired so much by, and who I think
Mm-hmm.
are like the gold standard in Star Wars, FFG role playing storytelling and storytelling in general.
Mm-hmm.
And doing a
Oh,
song like that because I thought it would sound great. But trying to like create the lyrics and match it up for that particular song is a little tougher than Starman. So yeah,
gotcha. Yeah. So why Bowie so much? I mean, other
it's
than he's amazing, but
yeah.
you know.
He has such a storytelling way with
Mm-hmm.
words, and you don't necessarily have to hit the notes, which I found like, when I do like karaoke, I could do Bowie because I just do like a Bowie impersonation, you know, like just be goofy, and it's very freeing, There's some songs where the artist performing is so perfect and they have this perfect pitch, and it's like if I try to cover that, I'm just gonna sound like a frog who's got laryngitis, who's trying to like walk out something. And so I was like, no, I got to stick with sort of that. He's very fluid. Bowie
Yeah.
was very fluid with the lyrics, and even if you're off, you're kind of okay, you know. So I don't know. Yeah, long and
That describes so much about Bowie too. Even
right.
if you're off, you're kind of okay. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it. Yeah. All right. Sweet. So, ooh, do. Let's go through some of these. Oh, yeah. So, if someone hasn't listened to Star Wars, let's try that again. If someone hasn't listened to Starbirds before, where should they start?
You can start on episode 1, or you can start episode 4,
Mm-hmm.
because episode 1, 2, and 3 is really just us, the crew. The very first thing that happens
Mm-hmm.
is they get pulled out of hyperspace and they got to figure out why. And they see this asteroid in space. Episode 4 is when they finally cross the threshold into the asteroid and start to unravel the mystery. And that's actually when we started hitting our stride,
Mm-hmm.
humor wise, was, the beginning of episode 5 is still one of my favorite parts in the whole series. Is uh yeah, so they
No
find
spoilers, no
someone.
spoilers.
Oh, no spoilers. Okay, sorry. Anyway, just Zach's response to ideas, Tad's response to ideas that Gid and Vickers are proposing. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
why? Why would anyone do that? And just the way it's timed out is just my favorite. Sometimes when I'm having a tough day, I'll just go back and listen to that because it's so
Oh, I
funny. It's
love
so
that.
funny.
I absolutely love that.
It's just the beginning of
Also,
yeah, episode.
everyone, episode 4 you have to watch to get to episode 5. And if you want to know what Sam is talking about,
Right.
go listen to Starbirds. You like how I did that?
Thank you.
We're throwing that bait out there. We're throwing that bait out
Yeah.
there. So I
Yeah.
love that.
The biggest draw I think for us and what we try to do is just be very try to be organic with the conversations of the
Yeah.
characters, sort of put yourself in their shoes, and we're always trying to do little bits. There's always
Hmm.
little bits in there, and if you just tune everybody out and just listen to Gid, you'll have a great time because like Katie really can do no wrong in the this. I've never been like, oh, that's a line Katie had. I'll just take it out. Not one time. I have removed
Oh,
lines from
wow.
me and from just because it didn't fit the flow of the scene and it sounded kind of off. But when I took it out, I was like, oh, the flows so much better now. But yeah, every single time it's just gold. Yeah. So
So we know you have a favorite player.
we we
It's
we we
okay,
have
Zach. I see Zach is listening. It's okay, Zach. We still love and accept you.
yeah.
Oh, I think he dropped off the podcast.
Oh, he's off
Or
forever.
the
Oh,
recording.
oh, oh boy.
He was
Well,
like, I'm out.
he like took one look at me and he's like, "Not today, Sam. Just not today."
Oh my god, I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. So I would love to know, what is a hidden talent you have that has not come out so far in the podcast? that
Mm,
you as a human being, you as Sam have?
mm. Oh, I don't know. I at one point I write poetry. I wrote poetry
Oh,
for many,
cool.
many years, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so as a joke on MySpace one time I put uh
Solidarity, friend. Solidarity.
yeah, my
MySpace. I
MySpace.
understand. That's right.
I put singer, songwriter in like my bio. I don't know why, but and then I put all of my poetry, like pages and pages of stuff on there.
Uh,
And this guy was, became a friend, was cruising through, Alex, and he's like, "Oh, hey, guy, can you, if you can sing it all, do you want to try out for our band?" And I'm like, "Is this a joke? Are you serious?" He's like, "Here's my number." So I call him. He's like, "Yeah, we really do have a band. We just don't have a singer." And I was like, "I'll try, but I don't know." So they had these songs finished, and I
uh,
listened to the songs over and over and over again, and I wrote lyrics to them, and I kind of pieced together pieces of different poems and whatnot, and yeah, and then I wrote for a couple of years after that. Kind of didn't work out. We were together for a couple months, played a couple shows, but um, yeah,
being a
things
band is hard. It's
it's
hard.
really hard. It's
Mhm.
scheduling as well. People going to school,
Right.
college at that time,
Yep.
and
Yep.
whatnot. So, but yeah, uh, I can't really sing, but I did sort of like
But you were
sort
the
of.
front man for a band.
I was a front man for a band. Yeah, I tried really hard. I did
And
try.
they're lyricist.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
and I
gosh,
did
that's
did write
awesome.
some fun poems. They're some of them are a little heavy-handed. Some of them are fine. They still stand up today, but it's kind of like you're in an emo phase. I was kind of in a little bit of a emo phase. Oscar
Yes, I know
Wilde.
that well. Yep.
I was I was deep down the rabbit hole, as it were. So, but it's fun to stretch yourself and try to think of
Yes.
ways different ways to put words together, like I'm not doing now. So, like
No, you're actually doing very well now. And I was thinking earlier about just how easy it is to kind of let you go on a tangent.
sorry.
So,
Yeah. I'm
no,
like,
don't say
yeah,
sorry because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get you rambling.
yeah.
So you're doing well and you're doing it in a very cohesive manner.
Okay.
To the point where like we only have 8 minutes left.
Oh,
So
oh, all
I
right.
know, right? This is you. You're doing awesome. And I love that poetry. So we also kind of have a tradition here on Behind the Mask that I'm now calling a tradition.
Hmm.
Um, we like anytime you mention any cool like writing or costuming or like um I think it's Dustin made backpacks, like things
Yeah.
like that. Um, we have our chat. You'll have to
Hmm.
go back and drop it in our chat because we all want to see it and we think that's
Okay.
awesome.
I'll,
So
I'll
and we
I'll
want to
put
support you and tell you you're amazing.
I'll put in three of my favorite poems, but
Yes.
not one of them's like an epic. It's an epic poem. It's
I'm here for an epic. I am here
okay.
for an epic.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I read all the different chats and stuff when I'm
Mm,
at work and need a mental break. So, yes,
yeah.
give me your epic to let me escape from this world.
Okay. It's a yeah, it's something. It's like and it's an interesting. It's kind of like a story as well, but
Mhm.
it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot.
That's good. That's good. I am looking forward to reading this. And for those of you who don't know where to find it, it's on the Coruscant Nights Discord, which I think is the Nightcast Creative Discord. Come join us. All right, let's do another amazing question from the chat. Ooh, I like this one from our user K Wright. Name a thing that is on your wish list.
Oh goodness.
I know, I know. She's real hard hitting with these questions sometimes.
Yeah. Um. Well, so today we put an offer in on a house. So
Oh
I,
my
if I had
gosh.
to, yeah, it's the very first time that we've ever.
Okay, okay.
The place we're in now, great, great rent, love the place,
Mm.
but they're selling the building eventually.
Oh yeah.
And it's not up on a bunch of sites, but there's a little sign out front. So it's
Hmm.
probably going to move a little bit slower, but we were like, we gotta find something we gotta get out of here. So we gotta find a place to land. And so we start looking at rent, and rent is crazy
It's
high. And we're like,
insane. It's insane.
yeah. And so we're married and we don't have any kids,
Mhm.
my wife and I, and so we're like, okay, well, we have a little bit of financial flexibility, so we
Yeah,
go out and we got a loan, and
like a
yeah,
pre-approval. Yeah.
pre-approval, yeah,
Mhm.
and so we finally found a place that's just beautiful. It's so cute, and it's in our price range. So we're hoping we get it. We're gonna find out tomorrow. Yes, maybe. So that's on my
Yeah.
wish list, which is a
All
huge
right.
thing. Anyway, but yeah,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like a house, literally that house on your wish list is amazing. Oh my gosh, I wish you all the luck with that.
yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And also like I'm a single person with a dog.
Mhm.
So I too have a lot of flexibility and
We
can be
do have a
like,
cat. Yeah.
oh yes. Oh, well, we haven't
So-
talked about your cat. Sam, I have been remiss in the questions I am asking.
Sorry.
Tell us about your cat, please.
Yeah, I was saying we don't have any kids, but Sammy was right that cats
Mm,
do count as children.
yes. Yes.
Um, and maybe here at the end, Miss Mabel will make an appearance. But yeah. Anyway, you got some more lightning round?
I do. I do. I'm also getting yelled at by my brother right now who's watching my dog. For those of you who want to check the chat, that's where it's at. All right, yeah. Lightning round questions. What is your favorite reading genre?
She's a young kitten, so
Oh.
she's one.
Oh my god.
Hey, Miss Mabel.
Meow,
Anyway,
meow. Hi,
so
Mabel.
she does not like to be held. She does like pets when she's laying down, but she does not like.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Steph. Thank you.
Thank you,
Anyway,
Steph.
that's Mabel. We love her. She's wonderful. So
Oh my
anyway,
god, that's the best. That's
I'm
the
sorry I
absolute
cut you
best.
off.
No, don't be never be sorry for showing your cat. That's a rule. All right, all right. What's your favorite reading genre?
Uh, it's definitely fantasy. Love Lord of the Rings. My dad read it to me when I was a kid,
Nice.
and it sparked. He read it to me on a long car ride, and he did voices,
Mhm.
and that probably was the spark of my just doing goofy voices all through school and acting and all the other little things that. But yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
fantasy,
beautiful.
fantasy for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. What is the next show you're a guest spot on? I feel like this is
Uh,
a
oh, Coruscant Nights. I am going to show up there, hopefully in
Mhm.
a more uh, I don't know, formal way or something with a
Right,
better
right.
with a better idea of what I'm doing. But yeah, the so Coruscant Nights, which I'm super super excited about because there's such a wonderful cast of characters and people and everything. So I'm
It's
stoked.
such a complex
Uh,
world. I love it.
a
I
hint.
I am looking forward. Yeah. What's the hint? Give me a hint. Give
Uh,
me a hint.
I'm playing a pancake chef. So.
Oh, good. So like Pancake Chef from before. Now we'll
Yeah.
know what the Star Wars Pancake Chef sounds like.
Yeah, flapjacks, pancakes, however you wanna. There might even be like a Star Wars version of such a food, but I don't know.
You're gonna have to know.
Yeah,
I'm
I have
just
to
saying.
have to come up with
That's
a,
right.
you
This
know,
is you to define what are pancakes in the Star Wars universe. This all hinges on you.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God, I love that.
shit, yeah.
Yep, yep. Oops. All right. Do you have a favorite piece of art in your home? I feel like this was also a K Wright question, and I feel like it's the one behind you, but is that the case?
Uh, let's see. Favorite piece of art? Hmm,
Yeah.
There's so much interesting stuff and so many different kinds of art, like one time I went to the Louvre. I must have been like 19 or something. We like a church trip to Europe. We went to Innsbruck, Austria, and my buddy
Hmm.
and I were like, "We need to go see art because when are we going to come back? I don't know. Who knows?" And we raced over to the Louvre, and just everything there was so. These paintings are like 2 stories high practically, and they tell this
Yeah.
epic journey. So I don't know if I could pick anything. I'm always excited to see new art anywhere I go, and everything
Hmm.
is so unique to put yourself in the try to see the painting through the eyes of different people or even the
Mhm.
artist, and you can see just how, especially when someone elucidates it and says, "Hey, look, this is what the artist was trying to show," and you start to peel away layers of fog from in front of the painting, and you're like, "Oh, now I get it.
Mhm.
This is a masterpiece. That's why this is here." Like, so the journey of art history is, I've barely pecked the surface of it, but I can't pick anything. I love so many things.
I love that. That's super fun. So there are a bunch more questions in the chat. Also, I would go on for hours and hours about art and like the
Yeah.
different depths of it, but it is 10 o'clock, and I'm like, crap. It's 10 o'clock here on the East Coast, at least.
Yeah.
So we're gonna say good night to everyone for now. Thank you all so much for joining us. Obviously, Sam is like a multi-layered person who we could talk to for hours and hours, just about all of the awesome, amazing like stuff that you've done and that you're doing. We're gonna get to read your poetry. I'm super excited about that. You and I will chat more about art because it is a passion of mine.
Yeah.
Um, but that's it for tonight, folks. You heard Sam talk a lot and hype up Katie. Katie will be here next
Katie's
month.
awesome. Katie's awesome.
Yes, I'm excited to get to talk to her now. Well, I was excited beforehand. I'm more excited.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let everyone go. We're gonna say goodnight. Next month we are going to be on October 4th instead of October 3rd. Our awesome sound crew. Um, Andrew, one of his kids has a birthday that night, so we're gonna move that because that family is important, and that's why we're here. So once again, thank you very much to those who back me up, both Andrew and Mark. I appreciate you all a lot, and we're going to say goodnight for now, folks. Have a good night
Good night.
and smile, Sam.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
sorry.
We'll
Thank you.
just wave. Let's queen wave out.
Let's do this.